When it comes to our beliefs about money, about what's possible, our fathers were the architects. They provided our first lessons on how to play the game, how to win the game, and ultimately push the family forward. But a lot has changed over time. Fathers today want to do more than what their fathers did for them. Being a provider isn't the only job dads are signing up for. So we decided to talk to a few to learn about what fatherhood means to them and how it shapes their views on work and money. Meet Troy. He's a father of two, husband, and multifaceted entrepreneur. When he's not working out, setting style trends, or being a grill master, he's focused on being the best dad he can be. And to get there, he had to reevaluate and reprioritize everything.
Can you hear her now? She's not used to being like put away. Yeah, trying to, I'm like, I gave you a couple extra treats. I filled up your water. So she'll stop eventually. Yeah, but it's dog. I'm sorry. Now she's scratching at the door. Yo, nobody, I swear I'm the lowest on the totem pole in this house, man.
Yeah, we were talking to another guy who will be on the same episode who's expecting his first child yesterday. We were trying to explain like what happens to your priorities and like the things that, just change, and it just keeps evolving, and you just get more and more distant from the person you thought you knew as yourself.
As you continue
to build your family.
Yeah, you can. I feel like sometimes I could actually, like, I have an out of body experience where I'm actually looking at who I was and giving grace to who I am now for some of the, not necessarily shortcomings, but comparison can be the thief of joy. And sometimes I compare myself to who I was in certain capacities in my life. Yeah. And I've been really shifting that mindset to not do that, specifically being like, in the fitness industry and being like super fit guy, like last 3 years, significant change. But also giving myself grace for all the other areas of my life that I've like superseded who I was.
Hello?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So that's a perfect segue, because that's actually one of the things I wanted to talk to you about. You used to be, by my standards, and I would say by most people's standards, like the pinnacle. And I'm not saying like you fell off, right? But I think, just from a standpoint of talking about parenting and especially just being a father, you were faced with a challenging decision, right? And I've always said that I think a lot of fathers are torn between their desires and their ambitions, right? So you may have this ambition to be this person at the peak of your game or at the peak of your industry. And I would say without question, you were there. You were there as the top fitness instructor in New York City, which is an incredible achievement. I'm curious as to what impact fatherhood had on you to make you reevaluate where you were and sort of pick a different career path, a different sort of self-employment path. Like, was that the primary motivator, or were there other things that kind of got in the way that sort of made you reevaluate what you or who you used to be?
Mm-hmm. So I'd say first off is that fitness, or, I like to look at the umbrella of wellness, not even just fitness, because I find fitness is one component of wellness, which became really, I'd say honestly, it just became like very tedious and monotonous to me. It just became something that I didn't really wake up feeling fulfilled and enjoyed. I love moving. I love the part where the community is built and I can see that I'm impacting and changing people's lives for the better. But the business structure, no matter if you're at the top tier or not, if you're not like, let's say, signed to a big brand like Peloton, where you have benefits of 401k, health insurance, your favorite coach doesn't have health insurance. Most fitness instructors are 1099 employees. They're independent contractors. You're paying out of pocket. We all know Cobra and other providers that are super expensive. So I got into this gym and I had the doors flying off the handle, and I was about to become actually an owner. I had they were giving me equity in the business, giving me a yearly salary, benefits, the works. COVID hits. So it kind of threw a monkey wrench in a lot of things. And my wife was an assistant principal in Westchester at the time. I was commuting back and forth to the city. And if there was one person that had to kind of stay home to be with our son, Sage, it was going to be me. I had the flexibility. She had the benefits. At that time, she had the high-paying six-figure contract, the one that's proud to say one of the biggest contracts you can get as a building leader. My wife was making in her 30s, like really, really good money. And I had the flexibility to teach from home and do that, but that wasn't something that I wanted to do. Mm-hmm. So here I am moving, shaking, being in the city, building, like really about to finally get the due diligence and the grace that I feel I deserve for the work that I put in. Mm-hmm. And kibosh. So you take that plus being someone who never really works out at home, who deciphers the difference between home being home and the gym being kind of a workspace, even mentally for me to tap in, is different. You don't got a 1-year-old dragging on your leg when you're slinging a kettlebell around. It's just different. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Never really been one to work out at home since I first got into the industry, when it was like life or death and I was changing my body. After that, I've been blessed to work out and train at some of the best facilities in New York City. So I've always, so being locked in, teaching fitness classes at the same time, watching my 1-year-old who's kind of like running through my fitness mat, like telling me, Papa, I got to go potty in the middle of a class with 50 people online who are choosing to sweat with me when every other studio in the world in Manhattan is also offering virtual classes. Like, they didn't have to be there, to the point where I remember one day literally breaking down. I couldn't compose myself. I literally broke down in tears in front of like 50 people on camera, and I had to cancel my class. I was like, I can't even do this. And they were like, listen, we're giving you more grace than you know. And a lot of people that were at that time, how Zoom is, some people were on camera, some people had those black screens with their names. So many people came off of camera and showed me, like, this is why my screen isn't on. And the amount of children that were like in the background, talk about, I couldn't at that moment.
I just got chills. I literally just got chills, because it's like, man, the parents, the support we give to each other is life-changing. We get asked all the time, like by new parents or people who want to start a family, like, what is your advice? How can we financially prepare? And it's like, find community. Find a mom group, a dad group, whoever who understands, is in the trenches with you, and doesn't make you feel bad about like this responsibility that we have. Like, it's a part of life. And yes, it can be disruptive, but like, it depends on what side you're looking at it from. Is it disruptive that somebody needs help going to the restroom? Like, at some point that'll be all of us, Lord willing, we live long enough. We'll all need help. So like, yeah.
Most men that I know that when faced with a situation like that, where sort of like, their needs are cut out from underneath them, would kind of double down on trying to make that happen and trying to bring home the bacon and trying to bring home the bread, however you want to define it. But it seemed to me as if, like, even through that, you were very clear on kind of separating work from home, aside from just having a preference for where you want to work out and where you want to build. But like, where does that come from, and why is it so important to you?
Coming from my neighborhood, one of the most successful people that I grew up was a gentleman. I won't mention his name, but very successful drug dealer turned businessman who was a mentor to me when I didn't have a father. And one thing this gentleman taught me at a very early age was that every dollar isn't a good dollar. So I come from the ilk of, I'll find a way, but I'm not going to create career suicide or spiritual suicide to make income. Because if I do that, I'm not going to be a good father. I'm not going to be a good husband. At the end of the day, I really operate with passion and purpose. It's in my core. It's how I was raised. And I really got to a point early on in my life where I knew I had to work for myself. So I was kind of transitioning in that way anyway. I kind of had, like I said, I had one foot in. It was either going to go this way with the equity in the business. If not, my social media career was already, it wasn't necessarily a side hustle, but it wasn't making enough steady income for me to make it my main thing yet. Right. So we were okay, and that was Chantel's job. We were super okay. And I didn't have an ego, I also, in my marriage specifically, we don't have gender specific roles. We're team players. We show up for each other. Jay-Z says in a song, if everybody in your clique is rich, your clique is rugged, nobody will fold, because everyone will be each other's crutches. When it comes to me and my wife and our household, there's been many times when I was down and I had to lean on her for support. And I've been proud that, I've been able to do the same for her. So it wasn't like, we didn't have those gender specific norms. We had this house in Westchester that we just moved into during COVID. I had to get rid of the nanny. I was a full-time stay-at-home dad and a fitness instructor who had a son in his arms saying, "Bye, mommy," as mommy went to work to bring home the bacon for the family. I think, the ability to not feel emasculated, the ability to feel like I can champion my strong partner who's bringing home the bacon for our collective, our unit and I also saw that, make no mistake, shout out to all the women who are stay-at-home moms, shout out to all the stay-at-home dads, being a parent is a full-time job.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Cashing Out the Podcast. To see more videos like this, subscribe to our YouTube channel and be sure to turn on your notifications. To get your copy of Cashing Out the book, visit Amazon.com, Barnes & Noble, your local bookstore, or download the audiobook on Audible.